Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear friends, we are going to make tic-tac-toe game in C++ using dev C++ compiler. So we are jumping on to code. Before coding it, there are some prerequisites for this game. If you are well known with OOP and some basics of the C++, then you can write it and you can also make its logic on your own. But my logic is first we will going to print a board on our screen, then we will allow the users to put their marks in these in the 12 boxes we provide them, right? We will take two values each time on the player turn, so we can put the marks of that player in the right place. Okay, we are going to use a class tic-tac-toe class, and then we will tic-tac-toe class. In tic-tac-toe class we'll declare a 2D array board. Then we will use 3 or 4 function in that class, so we can play our game easily. So jumping on the code, we are going to first declare a class tic-tac-toe, right? And first we will declare its private member, which will be a character type array of board, and it will be 3 by 3 array. Then its public members, first of all there will be its constructor tic-tac-toe, and in its constructor we will initialize our 2D array. So because it is 2D, then so that's why we will use nested loop in it. Int I is equal to 0, I less than 3, and I increment. So here we will initialize our board, with all zeros, right? Initially it will display nothing on our board. So the second function will be print board function. It will take no parameter. The styling of the board is so much tedious, that's why I have already written the code of that styles, the board style. So I am going to paste it over here so you can see it and copy it, right? This is our board. So first of all we will check that we have everything right. So tic-tac-toe game, and we are going to call game dot print board function over here, then return 0 to successfully terminate our program. Now after compiling this program, I am naming it as tic-tac-toe, right? So our program is compiled successfully, no errors, and here we have a board. I have also mentioned its x-axis and y-axis. So the two values we take from the user, so he know that he is putting x value or a y value. And these are the indexes of the 2D array. So our next function will be of type boolean, and it will be makeMove, and it will take 3 parameters: a character, it will be player, and its x value and its y value, right? So in our this function, first we are going to make a boolean variable called move, and initially we initialize it with false value, right? So after that we will check if player is X. If the move is done by the player X, then what we will do, we will I think I have done something wrong over here. First we will check the move is valid or not. So if valid move, if the move will be valid, then what we will do, we will check if player is X, we will print the board, right? Board, but first we will put its mark in the board is equal to player. This line of code will put X into ith jth index of this board, right? So after putting this, we will print the board, right? This line will print the board. After that we will check the game status. If game status, so if the game status is not continued, then we will do cout. Here I am going to print end line, and then player X wins, because it was player X turn, so that's why I have written here player X wins. And then we will return from here, return move, right? Else what we will do, we will make the move true, that move is valid and move is done. After move is done, we return the move, right? So this was for our player X, right? And then after player X, if it's the turn of player Y, or you can say player 0, we use these two marks while playing this game. If it will be move of turn of the player 0, then what will we do, we will do the same thing. What is we are doing over here, copy it and paste it in, right? And here we will say player O is 1, right? So after this if statement, if the move is not valid over here, else if the move is not valid, then we will return simply the move. Initially you know that move was false, so false will be returned. So after this function, we are going to make our valid move function. Valid move, it will take two parameters, int x and int y, for checking purpose that it's a valid move or not. So we will check if board of x and y is equal to 0, means where the player is trying to put his mark in the box is empty. So if the box is empty, then we will return true, right? So if the box is not empty and player is trying to override the already written mark, then we will return false. so the move can't be happen, right? So after that valid move function, we are going to write another boolean function, game status, right? It will take no parameters, it will only check that anyone move one or not. So initially we will declare a boolean function win, and we will initialize it with false. After that we will check our lines of let me show you. If this is our TICTACTOE, and if this line or 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 this line is completed, then the player will win, right? So for checking the line, I am going to use for loop for int I is equal to 0, I less than 3, as you know it is a 3 by 3 array, and I increment. Then in for loop I am checking that if board of I and 0 is board of I and 0 and board of I and 1 and two is equal to x, right? Or board of 0 and I and board of 1 and I and board of 2 and I is equal to x. So this line of code will check our lines if a user wins or not. If this is true, then we will return we will initialize the win with true, right? Same thing for the second player, copy it and again paste it. If these thing happens for player O, then it will win, right? So after this function, after this for loop, now we are going to check diagonal of the matrices, that if any player is 1 or not. So here I am going to write if board of 0 0 is equal to board of 1 1 1 is equal to board of 2 and 2 is equal to x, or it will check right diagonal. Now we will check left diagonal for it, for the win condition, right? So we will copy it paste it over here and change the indexes. So it will be 0 2 0 1 and 2 0 2 0 0 2 sorry 1 1 and 2 2, right? It will check the left diagonal. If this thing happens when condition will be true. Now we will do the same thing for player X and player what is happened over here. I think we have made some mistake. This is our for loop ends over here, this if and this is extra. It will be over here. So change the X with 0, this one also with 0, or you can say O, right? So after that if condition, we are going to return the win status, right? So this was our whole program, our whole class, 3 functions and a constructor: print mode, make move, game status and a valid move. Now we are going to write our main function. So first of all we will print the board. After printing the board, I am going to create some variables over here. Boolean, it will be a character player, and I am initializing it with X. So every time our game will run, the turn will be of player X, and then int X and Y, and we are going to initialize it with 0. So after that we are writing the while loop, and we will run the loop until the game status is false, right? The loop will continue until the game status is false. And in loop we will write cout and line and here player enter move, and we will also tell him that he have to put X point and then we will take this input in our X variable, and then same line for Y, and we will take this, and then we will take this input into our Y variable, right? After taking these input, we will allow user to make his move. So the game dot make move, and we will pass player and X and Y to this function. So if the move will be successful, then what we will do, we will check if the player was X, we are going to give turn to another player, which will be 0, and then else if actually we are rotating turn over here, right? And player will initialize with x, right? So if player can make the move, we can alternate their turn. If player can't make a move, why player can't move? Because he is trying to put his mark in the wrong place, in the wrong box, or try to override another player's mark. So we will intimate the player that player enter the valid move please, right? And this is it. So this was the whole code of the game, and now we will compile it. Here we have to pass x and y, we forget that one, and program is compiled and we'll run it. So here it is, our program. Now I want to put my mark in this box, so this will be 1 and 1. So x point is 1 and y point is also 1. I put it over here. Now player 0's turn. Now player 0 want to put in 2, it's over here. Now x turn, I want to put 0 and y will be 1, so it is over here. Now I want to put in this box for 0 for O turn, so it will be 0 and 2. This is so this point will be 2 0, sorry. Now I will try to put this x mark in this box, which is 2 and 2. It says please player x enter the valid move please. Now I will put the mark over here, this will be 2 and 1, right? So 2 and 1, so here is complete and player x wins, right? So this was the our tic-tac-toe game. Hope you will enjoy it. Up till next video, Allah Hafiz.